was Cuban cellist, singer, and composer Ana Carla Maza performing a track from her latest album, Bahia. Born in Havana to a family of jazz musicians, her music blends Cuban sounds with Brazilian bossa nova and French chanson, all with a touch of her own energetic and innovative style. Ana Carla Maza will be performing this Sunday as part of the Paris Jazz Festival at the Parc Floral. She also has concerts coming up across Europe this summer, including in London in August. We are lucky to have her as our guest today in the studio. Ana Carla, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much. I'm really happy to be here.
Let's start by talking about your album, Bahia. You said it's a tribute to the neighborhood in Havana, where you're from, and specifically to the women there who supported you growing up.
Exactly. Bahia is an ode to Latin American roots and an ode to La Havana, Bahia, in Cuba, where I was born. And to my piano teacher, who is named Miriam Valdez. She's the sister of the great jazz pianist, Cuban Chucho Valdez. So she taught me the Cuban rhythms and the Cuban music. I'm really grateful for that.
And you were telling me that you actually lost her during the pandemic to the coronavirus. And you've also said that this is a post-pandemic album. Can you talk about how that period translated into your music?
Yes, I was in Barcelona. I talked to her 2 weeks before, and then I knew the news. So well, I was inspired by this woman, Miriam Valdez, and the album I wrote in Barcelona during the pandemic. So I have been also inspired in all the different gigs I have done during all these times. Like, for example, when I play in Jazz Vienna, Jazz Music Festival, all this energy, the mood to meet new people, new artists. Jazz Vienna is one of the oldest festival in France, in the south of France. So I am really happy of all these souvenirs that I live, experience, meeting people. And yes, it's a travel to Latin America and all the memories I have in my life.
It sounds like a very nostalgic album as well. Let's take a listen to the album's title track, Bahia. Ana Carla, you recorded this clip at the Musical Academy of Villecroze in France. You wrote this album during a residency there. Can you talk about what your process is like when you compose?
Yes, Académie Musicale de Villecroze support women's composers. So I was really happy to be there and composing the album. And this energy, rock energy, for me is very important. The rock energy in the life, in the music, and also the joy, the alegría of the life with the improvisation of jazz music, mixing classical music, writing, composing music, and also jazz with Latin American rhythms is very important for me. And each song is like a traveling, a trip. For example, we are going to Brazil. I listen Brazilian music since I was very little. In Cuba, my childhood was really listening Gilberto Gil, Marisa Monte, and also Cuban singers like Omar Portuondo, Celia Cruz. All these great musicians were with me in my childhood, and I wrote this album in Villecroze thinking about all this.
And you also use your cello, we saw in that clip, in so many different ways. You've been playing since you were a child. What about it do you appreciate as an instrument?
Yes, because when you think about the cello, maybe you imagine that cello is only for classical music, like playing an orchestra. And I remember the summers I spent practicing my cello, like classical Bach, Popper, Tchaikovsky, Brahms, sonatas, and Toussaint, and all this for me was very important to learn the technical, classical technique on the cello. But then I was soloist in Orchestra Sinfonica, playing at 13, 14 years old. And after that, I said to me, wow, what's going to happen now? So I moved to Paris at 16 years old to start my solo career and to move and to face my fears, to say, okay, let's go to play new music, new style, rock, jazz, Latin American music with a cello, like a guitar, like a jazz guitar, like a bass, like a cello concerto. So all these I tried to play with the cello.
You definitely feel that rock energy. Now, Brazilian bossa nova, we know, is also one of your musical influences. Brazil also has a big rap scene, and we're going to pause for a moment and hear the story of one artist called Sagat Bey. After getting caught up in drug trafficking and doing time in prison, he managed to rebuild his life through music. This report is from Tim Vickery and the rest of our team in Brazil.
This rap is real. These words tell his life story. Sagat Bey has spent 12 of his 43 years in prison. After being lured as a youngster into drug trafficking and armed factions, he never thought he would escape.
During my last 4 years in prison, I sought to study. I dedicated myself to reading. Even if the state did not provide me with these tools, I sought to rehabilitate myself, as I would say in my music.
It was also in prison that he learned to play the guitar and to compose his first texts. He's a rapper and a writer. He tells his own story in a book entitled The Criminal Who Became an Artist.
I think if I survived overdoses, shootings, everything I went through, it was to be here and to be able to carry this message. There are a lot of people who are in the exact same situation that I've been in, who need to hear my music to believe that they too can turn their lives around.
If Sagat got out thanks to culture, he knows he's an exception. In Brazil, the prison population is the third largest in the world, and the system is failing to rehabilitate those it incarcerates. 70% return to crime when they leave prison.
Eu tô aqui, não tem caramelo. Essa menina aqui está de amarelo.
So Sagat Bey decided to tackle the root of the problem. He does prevention work with children in this NGO in the Mangueira neighbourhood.
We understand that only education can change this scenario of violence that we live through in the favelas. Our intention is to show society that if we socialise, we won't need to re-socialise.
Socializar, a gente não precisa ressocializar.
These children have free access to this cultural space every day after school.
If I wasn't here, I would be on the street. I wouldn't know how to read, I wouldn't know how to write, and I would need to ask for help all the time.
Such initiatives are needed to make up for the absence of the state in these disadvantaged neighbourhoods. Brazil last year registered more than 2 million children between the ages of 6 and 7 who are unable to read or write.
Now, Ana Carla, Sagat Bey, the musician we saw in that report, is someone who found music later in life. You, though, grew up surrounded by it. Did you ever consider another path?
I think music is really important in my life, and I think it's very important also for other people. When I am in concert, during a concert, I can feel emotions, I can feel the people with me, and I think we need music, we need culture, and we need art.
I absolutely agree with that. Now, not only do you sing and compose all of your own music, but you also produce it, and that was especially important for you as a female artist.
Of course, yes. I create my own label record where I release my albums, and I think it's very important today to be a producer. And there is only 2% of women in USA and France of women's producers, females. And why is important? Because we can decide. We can choose our team, we can build a family working on the same passion. And it's very important for me. I think the women's also on the power. It's important.
I'm excited to see that record label grow. You're also working on a new album that's coming out next year, Caribe. This time you're working with a full band after you've been making these albums alone. What's it like now going back to working with a group?
Oh, that's amazing. It's a jazz dance album, Latin American with the Afro-Cuban roots. And it's very important for me because I love working with other musicians. Now I have my quartet also, but it will be much more big, like a big funky band, and we are going all to dance, and we are all to enjoy the life with Latin American and Caribbean rhythms. So this is the next step, and I'm very excited about that.
And you've also talked about how much you enjoy playing at jazz festivals. What's the ambiance like
Well, the mood is very energetic ambiance, and you meet a lot of new artists. I remember when I played in 2015 in Jazz at Vienna, the same night that Steen. So it was amazing seeing him playing and the opportunity to be there, this like with Roman amphitheatric, like 8,000 people. So it was really nice. So I really recommend to go in a jazz festival this summer. It's very important.
I am going to try and go this weekend. Now, we ask all of our guests to pick a recent piece of culture that has impacted them, and you picked the film Holy Spider. It stars Iranian actress Zahar Amir Ibrahimi, who won the Best Actress Award at this year's Cannes Film Festival. Tell us what you liked about this film.
Well, she's Iranian. I really love it because it's a very powerful and strong film. It's something that sometimes we don't really speak about that. So I think it's very interesting, and it's about the powerful woman today.
All right, well, we will end with a look at the trailer for that film, Holy Spider. Ana Carla Maza, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure having you. A reminder to our viewers that you can catch her in concert this Sunday at the Paris Jazz Festival. She also has tour dates coming across Europe over the summer, so keep your eye out for those. Thank you for watching, and there is more news coming up on France 24 after this.
فکر می‌کنید که پشت پرده داریم توطئه می‌کنیم. شما باید مراقب رفتارت باشی. علل خصوص در مشهد مقدس.
کیسر ول کن. این نور سیاه چاله. تنه داره.
The abundance of fish in these waters is a promise of great fortune. The island is said to be a tiny El Dorado. Fishermen, bartenders and merchants, Kenyan and Ugandan alike, have chosen Migingo Island to build a better life.
Today the weather was good. We were able to fish well. And we came back with 20 to 50 kilos of fish per boat.
Our reporters met some of the 400 inhabitants who come together in this unique place with 2 police stations, one Ugandan, the other Kenyan.
We sit together, have meals together. In the case of anything related to work, we share information.
Borders, a documentary series for reporters on France 24 and France24.com.